We start though with Nottingham Forest head coach Steve Cooper, who has defended his job in front of the media today after a humiliating 5-0 defeat to Fulham. It means they've now won just one of their last 11 league games, but Cooper insists it's business as usual ahead of what could be a decisive game for his future against Wolves on Saturday.
I will not walk out of here thinking about fearing for my job or is this the last game. It's a terrible way to think that this could be anybody's last game. How can that be a way of thinking? Confidence in myself, couldn't be any more confident than what I am today, you know, and I think that's what it should take in challenging moments, is confidence and belief in yourself, and at the moment mine couldn't be any higher. You get challenging moments, of course, in management, but working here is not tough. No, not whatever run of results you may be on. Working here will never be tough. Of course, there's going to be a lot of questions and stories and whatever else said, and rightly so, and I respect that, and that's the life of a manager, and I don't think it should be any other way.
Well, our reporter Kirsty Edwards was one of the journalists asking the questions to Cooper today in the aftermath of that Fulham defeat. Good to speak to you, Kirsty. We heard Cooper there openly accepting all the noise around his job. Is this something to be admired then, all things considered?
Yeah, well, he has always had this very open relationship with us reporters, and indeed today he was openly encouraging the questions. He's not one to shy away, and he said all along, while things have been difficult recently, I want to be front and centre of this. He doesn't want to hide away from the difficulties they've got right now. I think one thing that was a change from the norm, certainly last night, was the fact he talked about the lack of desire and fight from his players last night. He was really disappointed with what he saw there, and it probably came as a bit of a shock to him. I think it was the first game really that he saw that last night, in that really disappointing defeat against Fulham. But he's keen to point out there'll be no blame game today. They're training this afternoon. It's all about we're in this together. He's very much taking responsibility for this as well. He doesn't want to pin this on the players. What was incredible last night was the support we saw from the fans. 5-0 defeat away from home, and there they were at the end, still applauding the manager, still chanting his name as they had done for a lot of the match. And that is one thing Steve Cooper can draw comfort from, that incredible support that he has been seeing from the fans, despite a really disappointing performance last night and result.
Yeah, and you wonder if the club owner actually missed out on seeing the fans at the end of the game, because it's been reported that he left 20 minutes before the game actually ended. What is the situation there then, Kirsty? Does Cooper still have his backing?
Well, it's always difficult to know, isn't it? I mean, Evangelos Marinakis hasn't previously been known for having lots of patience, but actually we have seen him have that with Steve Cooper. This isn't the first time that Steve Cooper has had pressure. It's not the first time there's been questions over the future of his job. In fact, in October last year, there was talk of him losing his job. The owner gave him a new contract. Then in April, the same again. The owner put out a contract insisting that he was going nowhere and giving him his full backing. We'll wait to see what he does this time around. But certainly Steve Cooper, while not having conversations with him, he has been having regular conversations with other members of the ownership group.
No, I've not spoken to him. I've spoken to Mildos after the game on the phone, and that was a conversation about the game. To be honest, I saw Ross, I saw Koulis after the game, and that's that. I've not heard of anybody else. Obviously, we're back in early this morning for press, and we'll carry on with our day's work. And that was that. Like I said, I saw Ross and I saw Koulis straight after the game before I got back onto the bus, and we all got on the bus, got back on the laptops and carried on.
Any circumstance that you're not in charge at Wolves at the weekend?
Not as far as I know.
And Kirsty, if the owners did make a decision, if they did dismiss Cooper, how do you think that would affect the relationship between fans and the club, given the support that the fans are showing the manager?
Yeah, well, I think clearly that's always been something that's been taken into account. Perhaps at times last season the fans may have saved Steve Cooper his job because there was such a strong feeling of love and support to him, and they always showed that at the stadium. The job he did to get them out of the Championship into the Premier League for the first time in 23 years, it was an incredible job. He took them from the bottom of the Championship, didn't he? Expectations, I guess, have risen this season. It's their second season now in the Premier League, so many fans were hoping to see them push on. So I think perhaps some fans may accept a change if that were to happen. But for Steve Cooper, I think his focus is purely on using the support of the fans that they've got and trying to utilise that and help them fight back from the poor form they've been in and use it to progress into the future.
We fell short in every way, shape or form, but in situations like this provides opportunity, you know, and the opportunity that we have short term is to show the supporters what it means to play for the football club, or what it should mean to play for the football club, and that's on Saturday. And then beyond that, for everyone connected with the club, is to show it on a more consistent basis, so that we can, you know, continue the progress that we've made over the last 2 years.
And Kirsty, I mean, if you look at the table, it can be said Forest aren't actually doing that bad this season. They're currently 16th. They're 6 points above the relegation places. Is there an argument that all this speculation actually isn't justified at all?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many factors you can take into account. The whole raft of players that Steve Cooper's been having to deal with last season and this season, so he's having to get again them to gel, and he's still working out, I think, his you know, best starting 11 because he's got so many players to deal with. So that's a huge issue for him, as you say. If you look at the table from this time last year compared to now, they were pretty much in the same place in terms of points, well, in exactly the same place in terms of points. 15 games in, 13 points on the board. The difference was last season they were in the relegation zone. This time they are, of course, out of it. There is that slight issue in terms of Everton having the points deducted, so that could change, but still out of the relegation zone. They've had to deal with an injury to Taiwo Awoniyi, their star striker. Any team would struggle without their star striker in the side, so they're having to deal with that, and as I say, get all these players gelling together. So I think that, you know, Steve Cooper would say I don't want to use any of that as an excuse, but I think certainly there have been things for him to deal with, and perhaps games this season where they have lost and it's actually been very close. It's not, last season they were getting outperformed a lot. This season, not so much. Although last night they certainly were. Steve Cooper said, I think it was an outlier in terms of performances this season. He's very much hoping it stays that way and it's not repeated on Saturday. A huge game coming up for them now, a really huge game. The questions about his future won't go away if it's another disappointing performance. As they head, another away game, they don't like away games, but they head to Wolves on Saturday. And let's see if they can begin their fight back and turn this form around.
OK, Kirsty, thank you very much for now.